You ever notice how exhausting it is to constantly explain yourself to people who were never trying to understand you in the first place? You explain your decisions, your boundaries, your silence, your growth, your dreams, and still someone questions it. Someone misunderstands it. Someone feels entitled to an explanation you never owed them, but something shifts the moment you stop, because the truth is this: most people don't want clarity, they want control. And the more you explain yourself, the more permission you give others to judge, approve, or invalidate your life. But when you stop explaining, your energy returns, your confidence rises, your peace becomes your priority, and suddenly, the people who were only around to monitor you disappear. Life gets quieter, but it also gets clearer, because the moment you stop justifying who you are, you finally become who you were meant to be. The habit of over-explaining comes from wounds, not wisdom. Most people don't realize this, but the urge to explain yourself isn't a personality trait, it's a survival response. You learn to over-explain because once upon a time, you weren't heard, you weren't believed, you weren't taken seriously. Maybe you grew up around people who made you justify every emotion. Maybe you were surrounded by people who questioned every decision you made. Maybe your peace depended on keeping everyone else comfortable. So you learn to over-explain as a way to avoid conflict, rejection, or judgment. But here's the truth no one tells you. Healthy people don't demand explanations for your personal choices. Only insecure people do. When you start healing, something changes inside you. You no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your intentions. You stop negotiating your worth. You stop shrinking yourself to be understood. And instead of saying, "Here's why I'm doing this," you simply say, "This is my decision." That single shift is the beginning of freedom. Explanations invite opinions you don't need. The moment you explain yourself, you open a door that lets other people step into decisions that were never theirs to make. You say why you're leaving a job, and suddenly someone tells you it's a mistake. You explain why you cut off a toxic relationship, and someone questions whether you overreacted. You share why you're changing your habits, and someone tells you it's unnecessary. Not because they know better, but because people love inserting themselves into situations they don't have to live with. Here's the part most people overlook. Your life becomes noisy the moment you invite everyone into it. The more you explain, the more opinions you attract. And the more opinions you attract, the more confused you become. Half the battles you fight exist because you gave someone access to a part of your life they had no business being involved in. When you stop explaining, you shut that access. You close the door, and suddenly, the voices quiet down because they have nowhere to land. Your clarity increases, your focus sharpens. Your decisions become cleaner, because you're no longer living through the lens of other people's reactions, you're living through the truth of your own direction. Silence makes your boundaries non-negotiable. One of the most powerful things you can do is set a boundary without giving a speech about it. No long explanations, no emotional justifications, no defending yourself. Just a simple, "I'm not available for that. I won't be doing that. That doesn't work for me." When you stop explaining, something incredible happens. People start taking your boundaries seriously. Because explanation sounds like uncertainty. Silence sounds like confidence. When you explain a boundary, people look for a loophole. When you stand firm without explanation, people adjust or they leave. Either outcome protects your peace. This is the shift. You stop thinking your boundaries need to be approved. You stop trying to make everyone comfortable. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your mental and emotional space. And for the first time, you realize your life was never supposed to revolve around the comfort of people who don't value your well-being. The right people don't need explanations. Here's the part that brings the deepest peace. The people who genuinely care about you don't need explanations. They can feel your intention without you defending it. Healthy people respect your choices even when they don't fully understand them. They trust your judgment. They honor your boundaries. They give you room to grow. But the wrong people? They demand explanations because they want access, not clarity, control, not understanding. When you stop explaining yourself, you instantly filter your circle. Those who truly respect you will stay. Those who only stayed because they could question, challenge, or manipulate you will disappear. and that's a blessing. Because suddenly your life becomes filled with people who don't drain you, don't interrogate you, and don't guilt-trip you for living the way you need to. Your relationships become lighter, your conversations become cleaner, your peace finally becomes sustainable. The right people read your silence as confidence, not disrespect. Explaining yourself keeps you stuck in old versions of you. Most people don't realize this, but every time you explain yourself, you're trying to convince others of a version of you that no longer exists. You explain why you're changing, why you're distancing yourself, why your priorities shifted, why your goals look different now. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't need a justification. It needs space. When you explain yourself, you're trying to pull your old world into your new one. You're trying to make people comfortable with a path they were never meant to walk with you. And that's why it feels heavy. That's why it feels draining. That's why it feels like explaining never works, because it can't. Your evolution won't make sense to people who prefer you as the older, smaller version of yourself. The moment you stop explaining, you outgrow the rooms that were holding you back. You step into a new identity that doesn't need permission to exist. Your future self becomes louder than your past self, and everything starts moving forward again. Peace begins the moment you stop needing to be understood. One of the most life-changing realizations is this: you don't need to be understood to be at peace. Most people exhaust themselves trying to explain their heart, their choices, their boundaries, their silence, all because they want others to get it. But here's the truth. Understanding is a luxury. Peace is a decision. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clearly you speak. Some will judge you no matter how honest you are. Some will twist your intentions no matter how pure they are. Not because of you, but because of their lens, their wounds, their ego, their limitations. When you stop needing to be understood, you reclaim all the energy you've been wasting trying to translate your soul to people who can only hear through their insecurities. You stop arguing. You stop defending. You stop replaying conversations in your head. You stop wishing they saw your heart. And suddenly, life gets quiet. Not empty, quiet. A kind of peace that feels like finally exhaling after years of trying to prove, explain, soothe, and justify. You realize understanding is optional. Peace is internal. And silence is a form of self-respect. Your silence forces people to reveal their true intentions. When you stop explaining yourself, something powerful happens. People can no longer hide behind your explanations. Your silence exposes what their words used to cover. Some people get offended because they were never interested in respecting you, only in controlling you. Some people pull away because your silence removes the power they once had over your emotions. Some people get closer because they value who you are, not what you justify. Silence is a mirror. It shows you who actually supports you, who only tolerated you, and who depended on your explanations to feel superior, needed, or in control. And the beauty is this: you don't have to confront anyone. Your silence does the work for you. You learn who respects boundaries, who respects your time, who respects your decisions, who respects your peace. And by the time the dust settles, your life looks different, not because you changed everyone, but because you stopped performing for them. Your silence becomes a filter, and everything that doesn't belong naturally falls away. Your life speaks louder. When you stop explaining, there's a strange shift that happens when you stop explaining yourself. Your life starts doing the talking for you. You don't have to justify your growth, people see it. You don't have to defend your peace, it shows in your energy. You don't have to convince anyone you're changing, your results make it obvious. Explanation is verbal, transformation is visible. When you stop explaining, you stop wasting breath on those who don't listen, and you start investing that energy into building the life you actually want. And that's when everything accelerates. Your goals become clearer, your decisions become stronger, your habits become sharper, your path becomes straighter, because now you're acting, not discussing, moving, not defending, becoming, not convincing. People who once misunderstood your choices suddenly understand your results. People who doubted your direction suddenly see your discipline. People who questioned your decisions suddenly respect your distance, not because you explained anything, but because the life you built is now louder than the voices you stopped entertaining. The freedom of not owing anyone your story. One of the greatest freedoms you will ever experience is realizing this. You don't owe anyone your story. Not your reasons, not your justifications, not your explanations. Your healing is yours, your choices are yours, your boundaries are yours, your evolution is yours. You don't have to explain why you're distancing yourself. You don't have to explain why your standards got higher. You don't have to explain why your priorities changed. You don't have to explain why you walked away from what drained you. People feel entitled to your explanations because for so long, you've handed them out like you owed them something. But the moment you stop, you take your life back. Your privacy becomes your power. Your silence becomes your shield. Your growth becomes sacred, not up for debate, not up for approval, not up for public consumption. You start living for you again. And the best part? The people who deserve a place in your life never demand an explanation. They respect your evolution without requiring a presentation. Explaining yourself is a form of self-doubt disguised as clarity. Here's the truth most people never realize. Every time you over-explain, you're not actually seeking understanding, you're seeking permission. You're hoping someone will validate your decision, approve your growth, confirm your intuition, agree with your boundary. But real confidence is born the moment you stop needing that external stamp. Because explanation is often a mask, a polite way of saying, please don't judge me, please don't be upset, please don't misunderstand, please don't leave. But think about it. If your decision is aligned with who you're becoming, why should someone else's comfort decide its worth? When you stop explaining yourself, you stop negotiating with your own self-doubt, you stop watering down your truth, you stop performing small just to keep the peace. Your choices become rooted instead of reactive, firm instead of fragile, certain instead of anxious, and for the first time, you make decisions with a steady hand, not a shaking voice. Because you're no longer asking the world for permission to be who you already are. When you finally stop explaining yourself, you step into a different kind of life, one built on self-respect instead of approval, clarity instead of noise, and confidence instead of fear. You realize you don't need to be understood to be at peace. You don't need to be validated to move forward. You don't need to justify your growth, your boundaries, your silence, or your direction. Your life becomes lighter, your relationships become cleaner, your path becomes clearer, because the moment you stop explaining, you stop shrinking, you stop performing, you stop apologizing, and you start living. If this message spoke to you, if you're ready to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your independence, make sure you subscribe for more content like this. Drop a like, share this with someone who needs it, and tell me in the comments, what's one thing you're done explaining to people? Your next level begins with your silence. Let's grow together.